Good morning, dear students. So, today we have the next aspect in process costing, that is the topic of process losses. So, we'll be discussing about the various process losses and how what is their accounting treatment, and also we'll discuss about the abnormal effectives part apart from the loss. So, let us start with the topic. So, whenever we process a raw material in order to convert into finished product, certain losses are inevitable. So, they are bound to happen. So, when I say inevitable, it means something we have already kept in mind that ये loss तो होकर ही रहेगा. That is, we are we have in our mind a certain bent for that there is going to be a normal loss, and over and above the normal loss जो होगा, that would be what? That will be an abnormal loss. So, firstly, whenever from raw material to finished product stage we are going and the processes are going on, the losses will happen and they will be falling in these two categories. And it is very important to record these losses, because if we don't record the losses, we don't get their realizable value. If they can be sold as scrap, then production cost is bound to increase. So the materials which have been processed and then suppose they are found to be defective, so they can be materials can be found to be defective, or either they can be of no use because of certain loss and we have to sell them as a scrap. A proper record of this is required, because we will be disposing of the scrap and then recording its realizable value in the process accounts. So firstly is the normal process loss. So normal process loss which arises under the normal circumstances, it is inevitable, it cannot be avoided at all, it will occur. So example is, let's say, a case of evaporation, or it can be pilferage. So we have a scientific base to calculate these in advance, that how much percentage loss is expected. So that is our normal loss. So if there is a scrap, we'll be recording it. When I talk about recording it, so you remember we made a process account earlier. So let me show it side by side. So this was the units column, this was the amount column, units and amount column, and this was the particulars column which we had made. So whenever the normal loss will occur or the wastage occurs, so we will be recording it on the credit side. So any normal loss or normal wastage, whatever units are here, we will be recording the units over here, and if there is any realizable value, that will be recorded in the amount column. So this you have to remember. Now, how to calculate these units? These units are to be calculated on the basis of the percentage of the units which are introduced in the process. Let's say units introduced are 1000, and we say that 1% is the normal loss of the units entering into the process or the units introduced. So 1% 1000 का निकालेंगे. So how much it is going to be? It is going to be 10 units. So we will be writing 10 over here. And if these 10 units can be sold as a scrap, and you get, let's say, it is sold at rate of rupee 1 per unit as scrap, so 10 into 1 10, so realizable value be 10 aa gayi. But in case there is no scrap value, it is total loss, then in that case we can write it nothing over here, that is realizable value is nil. So you have seen how I have posted that in the process account also. So in order to reduce the process cost, let's say when we'll be getting the realizable values, our process costs are surely going to reduce. And in this way what happens is that uh, in case there is no realizable value, then whatever is the process output. Now what is the process output? That is 1000 minus 10, that is 990 units. So that 990 units are going to share the whole process cost. So, what are the journal entries? If I say how the journal entries are being passed for the process and recording of the normal process loss, you can make it clear from this process account only. As you can see, the first entry is for the scrap of the normal loss. What we are doing, we are showing normal loss account debited to process account. So what is the first entry? Let me write it over here side by side. Rub it by using the duster. Just wait. So you can see it from the this was process account. So the first entry, normal loss account debited to process accounts. So normal loss account debited to process account is our first entry. Then for we are realizing it, let's say this amount, if there is a realizable value, and I prepare a normal loss account also from these entries. So how the normal loss account is going to appear? Let me make a bigger account so that you are able to see. So normal loss account is going to be something like this. This is particulars, this is the units part, this is the amount part, then again particulars, then units, and then amount. So from here it is we are posting it over here on the credit side, and here it will be to process account A, B, or whatever. So process account 10 units, and let's say at the rate of 1, so it was 10 only. तो ये हमने एंट्री शो की है बाय कैश. कैश इज़ दैट वी आर रियलाइजिंग वी हैव एक्चुअली सोल्ड दिस स्क्रैप, उसकी वैल्यू जो थी. सो 10 यूनिट्स बेच दिए और 1 रुपये के रेट पे 10. सो व्हाट एंट्रीज डू वी गेट? वी गेट normal loss account debited to process account, and the second entry we get cash account debited to normal loss. So these are the entries which we have to pass in case of the normal process loss. Then comes the abnormal loss. Now abnormal loss, as I have already told you, that it is over and above the normal loss limits. So what can be the reasons for abnormal loss? It can arise because of that any plant has broken down. So plant breakdown can be any reason, or because of the carelessness of the worker, of the person working in factory, there is a loss, or either any accident has occurred. So or you are using any substandard materials. So because of this, the units produced are not up to the expectation even after reducing our keeping a scope for normal loss. So that is why अगर units कम produce हुए हैं तो the reason is that there is abnormal loss. So now how this abnormal loss will be shown over there in our account? Let's say we make our process account, process A account or process 1 account, whatever name. Again we have particulars column, units and the amount column, then again particulars, then units and the amount column. Now process A, where we wrote our normal loss, we wrote it over here, normal loss, and here we wrote the units introduced, let's say 1000, and we had 1% as normal loss, so we had 10 over here. So now when I say the output of process A is of course going to process B, so by process B account, let's say it is given that it is 990. Now let us match the units on both sides. It is 1000 on this side and the total comes out to be 1000 on this side. So it means there is no abnormal loss because the total is same of units on both the sides. But let us say that this is 950. So now what will happen? The total on the debit side is 1000 units and over here it is 960. So where did the 40 units go? So those 40 units are going to be taken up as by abnormal loss. They are abnormal loss. ये याद रखना आपने. It is abnormal loss. अब abnormal loss आ गया, इसकी वैल्यू नहीं पता, तो you remember in my last video lecture I told you one formula of CONE upon NE. So it was cost of normal effectives divided by normal effectives. तो इसके करके यानी कि in other words इनको रख लेना है, हाइड कर लेना है. whatever written on the debit side रुपीज़ कॉलम में, उसमें से जो क्रेडिट साइड के रुपीज़ कॉलम में वो ऑफ कोर्स अकेला नॉर्मल लॉस के सामने होगा, उसे माइनस कर देना है. तो दिस इज़ डेबिट. उसमें से माइनस कर देना है रुपी कॉलम में जो क्रेडिट पे दिया हुआ है, और फिर यूनिट्स कॉलम में सिमिलरली यूनिट्स में ऑन द डेबिट माइनस यूनिट्स ऑन द क्रेडिट. यानी कि या ये जो हमें नज़र आ रहे हैं 1000 माइनस 10 यूनिट्स नज़र आ रहे हैं, तो इसको करके एक जो रेट आता है दैट रेट इज़ गोइंग टू बी यूज्ड फॉर वैल्यूएशन ऑफ एबनॉर्मल लॉस एंड ऑफ कोर्स द यूनिट्स ट्रांसफ़र टू नेक्स्ट प्रोसेस. ठीक है. सो लेट्स से एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं कि ये हमारा जो रेट आया था दैट रेट वाज ₹10. तो यहाँ पर हमारी वैल्यू आ गई. लेट्स से हमने ये जो वैल्यूएशन रेट अभी निकाला यूजिंग द फॉर्मूला कॉस्ट ऑफ नॉर्मल इफेक्टिव्स बाय नॉर्मल इफेक्टिव्स करके, दैट रेट वाज 10. ये 10 वो है जो हम ₹1 वाला ले रहे हैं, और यहाँ पे इसकी वैल्यूएशन हुई 10 पे, तो 10 into 40 is 400. नाउ हाउ द abnormal लॉस अकाउंट विल बी prepared? मेन क्वेश्चन इज दिस. ये वाला पोर्शन वी हैड डन इन द प्रीवियस वीडियो लेक्चर. नाउ हाउ टू प्रिपेयर द abnormal लॉस अकाउंट? लेट अस सी. तो abnormal loss account is, let us have the same format, particulars, then we have the units, then we have the amount, we have the particulars, we have the units, we have the amount. Of course units की जगह पे it can be quantity, kgs, whatever is given, whatever is mentioned. तो abnormal loss by abnormal loss account यहाँ आया था. So of course the things are going to be going on this debit side. So here we are going to write to process A account. So how many? 40. And what is the value which we have said? 400. Now whatever rate, ये अब abnormal loss can also be sold as a scrap. abnormal लॉस को भी हम सेल कर सकते हैं स्क्रैप की फॉर्म में. तो अगर उसकी रिलाइजेबल वैल्यू है एंड इट इज़ गिवन इन द क्वेश्चन, सो ज़्यादातर क्वेश्चन में एक ही स्क्रैप वैल्यू दी होती है एक प्रोसेस की. सो एज इट वाज गिवन ₹1 ओवर हेयर नॉर्मल लॉस, तो वी कैन टेक द सेम रेट फॉर एबनॉर्मल कि अगर नॉर्मल बिक गया तो एबनॉर्मल भी उसी रेट पर सेल हो जाएगा. सो ओवर हेयर वी हैव realized that loss and we sold it as scrap. तो 40 यूनिट्स के 40 यूनिट्स एज स्क्रैप बेच दिए. रेट क्या लगा? ₹1. तो 40 into 1 is 40. नाउ वी हैव टू डू द बैलेंसिंग पार्ट. तो बैलेंसिंग पार्ट में क्या करना है? यूनिट्स तो सेम ही लग रहे हैं. सो सॉरी, नॉट ओवर हेयर. सो इट इज़ 40 and it is 40, but here there is a balancing figure. We can see it on the credit side. So 400 minus 40, that is 360, where it is going to be transferred. Minded the losses have to be transferred to costing profit and loss account. तो ये इधर आ जाएगा costing profit and loss account में, and 360 and 40 total is 400 and total is 400. So what journal entries do we get from here? The first journal entry is abnormal loss account debited to process account, that is where the normal loss arised. तो जहाँ पे अरोज हुआ वहाँ पर हमने उसकी फर्स्ट एंट्री कर दी, abnormal loss account debited to process account. Second entry, realization, that is we realized that loss, so cash account debited to abnormal loss account. And the third entry is that we transferred the balance of the abnormal loss to the P&L, so that is costing profit and loss account to abnormal loss account. So this is how we show and we do the treatment of losses in our process accounts. So that's it. I hope the things are clear to you, and this is very important theory question also for exam. Numericals तो है ही है, but theory is also this covers the theory part. So please go ahead, look into your book, and side by side watch this video lecture, and tell me in the comment section after you finish off that whether you have understood the concept or not. So that's it. Have a nice day. Thank you.